Sue Slipman was born in 1949 in a working-class family. She graduated in English from the University of Wales and later took a postgraduate course at the University of Leeds and a PGCE at the University of London. She has had a house in a small village in the Alpujarra mountain range for over 20 years, which she loves, and which inspired her to write a new collection of stories, published by Eurobooks, and which is entitled Tales from the Alpujarra. Sue's here today with us to introduce us her new book. Hi, Sue, it's a real pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Ginevra. It's a real pleasure to talk to you too.
Please, Sue, tell us a little bit about your book, Tales from the Alpujarra.
Well, the book, it's almost as if those stories were ready to be written, and they're set in the village in the Alpujarra, which I first started visiting about 25 years ago. I love walking in mountains, and this is a very beautiful, bucolic range of mountains in southern Spain, southeast of Granada, and about 45-minute drive from the sea. So on the one hand, you have the wildness of the mountains, and on the other, you can look down to the sea from when you're walking in the mountains. And it's been my paradise, I suppose. It's been the place where, when I was working full time, I would go to relax, to restore myself in spirit and in physical health. And the only way I can describe the place really is that when I got to my front door in the village for my little house, and I opened that door, it was as all the cares of the world just left me. And so it's been my peace, really. And I couldn't get there during COVID. So for the first time in 25 years, I've not been able to go to the village several times a year. And I really missed it. And I thought maybe I could write a bit about it. And it wouldn't be the same as being there, but it would be the next best thing that I could get to being in my village. So I set the stories in my village, and I set them in a way that they became stories told in the village. They didn't necessarily happen there. In fact, they happened across the world, but they were stories that got told to people in the village. So that's the setting and the frame for the book.
Okay, thank you. And one curiosity, why is Joana so important to the way your stories are framed?
Yeah, well, I had to have something that interconnected them, because what I didn't want was a sort of disparate number of short stories that had no interrelationship with each other. So I wanted some of the characters in the stories to appear more than once and appear in different stories. But I also wanted there to be a kind of relaxed environment in which the stories get told. So Joanna is a woman who has a posada in the village, a bed and breakfast place, and people go and stay there, and particularly people who are walking the mountains, but also people who've come for holidays in the area. And Joanna becomes a character who is central to all of the stories, because most of them are told to her, and she is the best host that you could possibly have. She's a woman of great worldly experience, and she doesn't judge. So the stories are not judgmental. They are things that happen to people in life, and she is the person in whom they confide. So she became a very central person in the stories, and she links the stories together.
Okay, but is she real? Is Joana a real person?
Well, she is and she isn't. There is someone in the village who has a posada who is a hugely sympathetic, a very empathetic woman. And in fact, some of the stories in the book come from her. But my Joanna book is English. She has retired out to the Alpujarra, and she is very forthright. And she will tell you what she thinks about the stories that you're telling her. In real life, The woman on whom Joana is based is she's not English. She is another European, and but nevertheless, she has many of the characteristics that Joana in the book has. She's empathetic. She doesn't judge. She is supportive, and she's the kind of person that people just want to tell their life stories to, because she draws it out of them. And she's also very direct, and she asks very direct questions. My Joanna is slightly more subtle than the woman on whom these stories are based.
Okay, just one last question, Sue. How have readers reacted to your book?
Well, I've had a really good reaction. I've had some 5-star reviews from readers. Um, And what they have all said is that the stories made them want to go and visit this area of Spain, and they could feel um, the sunlight as they walked along paths in the village. They could smell the smells of the Alpujarra. So, and the smells are different throughout the year. So in springtime, you'll smell wild garlic, and in the summer, rosemary and thyme as you tread through them as you're walking in the mountains. And people could really sense the atmosphere and the environment the stories were set in. And also, they got what I wanted to do. So I wanted to make people laugh and cry and feel sympathetic towards people, and also challenging and amazed at the kind of idiot situations that people can get themselves into. And I think the readers got that. So it's been a very pleasant experience talking to my readers.
Okay, thank you, Sue. We're very curious now to read all the book. Tales from the Alpujarra is Sue Slipman's new collection of stories, published by Eurobooks in November 2020. It is now available in bookstores and in digital platforms.